Oh, hello, good people. I hope that you are doing and feeling fabulous on today. So, today is June 11th, and that means it's the 11th day of Uterine Cancer Awareness Month. As a uterine health advocate, I do feel it is important for me to align myself with such initiatives that speak to the mission and the purpose of this channel, right? To bring you information and me as well, learn information about all things uterine, uterine health, and then all things about uterine cancer. And per usual, I want to say thank you so much for engaging with the channel, from you watching it, from you sharing it, commenting, asking questions, and most importantly, too, when you subscribe. So thank you in advance for all of the things that you do to engage with this channel. As you can see, I decided to come outside. Hopefully, you can hear me over the air conditioner, and uh, my sound quality is great. I did test it, but I just want to let you know if you hear that noise in the background, that's the air conditioning unit. So again, I always like to say that my disclaimer is I'm not a medical doctor. My full disclaimer is in the description below. So today I want to provide an update because I mentioned the other day that I was going to have a biopsy, which was a pre-planned biopsy that my doctor and I had planned on a schedule. 3 months after me starting progesterone, I would have one, and then 6 months after me. 6 months from that last one. And so this was the 6 month appointment. So I just wanted to share with you about the appointment and my thoughts and how the appointment went. Okay, so one of the things that I did do was I didn't take, the last time the doctor said, how come I didn't take ibuprofen? I didn't take ibuprofen this time because I've never taken ibuprofen before and a biopsy. So I just wanted to see if, if it made a difference. But, you know, I'll get more into that later. I try to be nice when I'm talking about things. I don't like to. My friend says she was allergic to negativity. I says I love it, so I'm taking that with me. And I also made sure to use the restroom before I had my procedure, and I had very little water prior to that because if you look at my last video from December biopsy, you'll understand all of this stuff. So. What I wanted to share with you, when the doctor came into the room, I went ahead and told her some of my side effects that I picked up on since starting it, but that was way at the beginning. So she said she didn't feel any concerns about that. So I says, okay, that's good. And then I did ask her about how is this biopsy going to measure to see if my uterine lining has shrunk or is still growing. And one of the things she said is when you do the biopsy, they're mainly taking samples of the cells to see if there's any abnormality there, and then to see if anything is cancerous. So that is the purpose of that. But now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I think next time I will ask her, outside of an ultrasound, how do we measure the uterine lining to see if there's growth or stop growth? How do we know the progesterone is actually working? That's a good question. So I also want to tell you this about me. So for me, biopsies are not fun. They are painful no matter where you get them on your body. They are very painful, but they are necessary. And so I look at it as part of my journey of trying to see what brings healing to my body, or see what's going on with my body. So I do understand it'll be painful, but it's also necessary. So although I didn't take the ibuprofen, I was expecting pain. I just wanted to do a comparison with the pain levels from last biopsy to this biopsy. I don't know if that was a good decision, but that's what I did. So I'm kind of having one of those wonk days, which is why I thought maybe I should come outside and do this video. Sometimes things don't go as you plan in life, and then you can just have a wonk day. So that's what I'm kind of having, if I seem kind of like all over the place. So now that I've given you all of that information, she came in, I asked questions, and we talked about a number of other things as well. Let's talk about the biopsy. The biopsy was painful, like I said, and it's hard to describe the pain, but it's almost like you feel like some kind of long needle was sticking me or pinching me in a certain area. But all I kept thinking to myself was, I pray that she gets enough of a sample that she can, send off to the labs where they can, have a, study the cells and see if, non-cancerous cancers, that's that kind of thing. So that's all I kept thinking was she just needs to get good cells. And one thing I appreciated about her was that she explained as she was doing the process, because I think she knows and understands that going to a doctor, putting your feet up in those stirrups and spreading your legs wide is not something sexy anybody wants to do. And she explains everything. I'm about to put the speculum in, and she does all of that. And when she got to the, through each process, she says, okay, take a deep breath because now I'm going in with this tool. And she was just like, just have slow, easy breaths, to keep a good pace. And she was, was telling me about, was encouraging me through. And then she says, okay, this is might pinch you right here. And, sorry for the torture. And actually her like kind of like coaching me along is what I'm going to call it, really kind of made the biopsy not as bad compared to someone that just doing a biopsy or doing something to you, you don't know what the crap is going on. And maybe you don't want to know. I appreciate her talking me through the process, especially when she said she was sorry for the torture she was giving me. So I was just like, it's okay. I'm all right with that. So in the end, she was not able to get a good sample of the uterus. She was only able to get a sample at the base of the uterus, and like I guess the ending of the cervix. And she did try a few different times and two different instruments, but nothing would go further. She was actually thinking that it might be a blocking of something was blocking my passage, why it wouldn't go through. And when I say she tried it a good number of times, and she would check in me, "You okay? You want to do it again?" I said, "Let's try it again," because I just wanted to, get some kind of a sampling. So this is a picture of your uterus. You guys see it? So this is your cervical area. I hope I'm doing it there. This is your cervix. So it's like the tunnel, and it's leading up into this area right here, which this is the area that she was trying to get through. So the instrument she was using, I happened to find one of these straw cleaners in the house. You guys ever have one of these? It kind of looks like this. So the instrument she was using is really flexible. It's thin. So it's not even a very, like invasive or large piece of instrument. And it doesn't have this much on it. So it may have this or maybe like this much. And the rest of it is like, can you see this? All this thin layer. So that's what's like, and it's flexible. So I guess it's flexible so they can move in and out. And all this does is kind of, I think she twirls it. I'm not sure, but whatever it is, it's able to then, gather some of your cells and then come all the way out. So what happened to me was, hope I can do this on this picture, is so she was able to go up the cervix, and the cells she was able to gather was right here. This is all she was able to gather at the base. Her goal was to go a little further up into this area. And what she said was that she knows, I guess, the estimated, how long your cervix is and how long it should take to get to the uterus. So, and what she showed me was that normally, and this is just an example, the thing was much longer. Normally, if it's all the way near the top of your uterus, then maybe she would have this much left, to be able to do what she needed to do. But with working with me, she had a lot of it left out, and that's how come she knew she wasn't at the base or in the. Let me show this here. She knew she wasn't in the uterus area. I printed this out online, so it's kind of soft, but so she knew she wasn't in this area. She just was right here. So she was able to gather some tissues, but she said she would much rather have tissues from up in this area, the uterus area, for her, which I want her to get there too, because this is where all the lining is. So this is like I think it's right here. She showed me the uterine lining. I think that's what it is. It's over in this area. I hope I got it right. But she thinks that one of the things that may be causing the blockage might be a fibroid. She's thinking it might be the fibroid based on where it is in my body, which is why I've always said, whenever somebody tells you you have anything in your body, it is important that you know where it is in your body, because it could affect a whole number of things. So for yourself, for you to know. So I think that that's very important. So this is So she wasn't able to really get a good sample. And one of the things I definitely appreciated about her is that, as she said, she was going up through the uterus. She kind of didn't want to, push and force it up that way, because she did not know what was preventing her from getting up into this this uterus area, because they do have that speculum that kind of opens you up, and so she kind of have an idea, and then she's measuring with the instrument that she's using to be able to go inside and to get the sample. So if it's not, if it's normally supposed to be, oh, maybe I can do this one. So like I said, if it's normally supposed to be this much left out by the time she knows that she's in the uterus, and instead it's this much left out, then she knows she hasn't reached the uterus. So I was very appreciative of her that she didn't want to poke inside of me and potentially damage something, because she really couldn't see it. So at the end of so I appreciated that. So the next steps for me will be that I need to have another histoscopy, and that way she can really get a good sample of my cells and see what's going on within my whole uterus, because she'll have a camera to go inside of there. And in my previous video about my journey, I have a whole video on hysteroscopy, so you can go back there and look at it and see what it is and what happens during that procedure. She was so funny. She felt so bad that she wasn't able to, go in there and really get a good sample. But I told her I totally understood, and I would prefer her not to, like push and force, and again cause me some kind of pain or some kind of damage that may be something that then again I had to go to a doctor for something else. So that was the end of that. So we just decided to do the hysteroscopy, and so I will be waiting for her. I'm sure I'll hear from her next day or two about the appointment schedule, the times that are available for me to have this procedure. And yeah, so that's it from that part. At the end, I was able to explain to her, because she asked me a question about the last appointment, and I did explain to her, because a colleague had to fill in for her, how I felt about the last appointment, and she apologized, and I told her there was no reason to apologize. I mean, everybody's different, and she did say that, because they do send out surveys at the end of your visits and things of that nature. She said you should have filled out the survey, and I didn't even think about the survey, to be honest with you guys, after that appointment, because I was just so flabbergasted by it. So that's that for this things. But one of the reasons I'm kind of like wonkish today is because of the fact that I really wanted, because I don't feel like I've had a good biopsy since August of 2025, and I want to know what's going on with my body, because now we're in June of 2026. You kind of want to know what's going on. So mentally, I was extremely disappointed the day that I came home from the biopsy appointment. I couldn't sleep. I just tossed and turned. I really didn't want to eat when I got home, but I did stop to eat before I came home too. So I look at it because it could be a lot worse. There are people that are going to the doctors on a regular basis facing a lot more than just not being able to have a biopsy. So, I always look for the good in everything, but I just was feeling kind of sad, as my friend says, when it feels like our body betrays us. And that's what I feel like, of all the things, fibroid, why are you in the way and preventing me from getting these results? So that's how I kind of feel. So that's why I'm kind of wonkish, but I'm very grateful that I have health insurance. I'm very grateful I have a good doctor, and I'm very grateful that I'll have this procedure, and I will find out what's going on with my body. So that's it. Sometimes in life things doesn't go how you want, but I know that God is still in control, and we'll get the results. So what's meant to be is meant to be. So it wasn't meant for me to have this. So I'm just going to continue taking the progesterone every day, and hopefully within the next week or two, I will be having the hysteroscopy, and I will be able to have my results. So until the next time, I just wanted to come on here and share that with you. I hope that you had a great day. I hope that the information is helpful to someone that is going through a biopsy, to know that it can, I guess, fail, so a failed biopsy, and there are a number of reasons why it could fail. And she's thinking for me, it could be the fibroids blocking, but there are a number of reasons why it could fail. And hopefully, you have a health professional that can talk to you right then and there. And hopefully, you're blessed with a health professional that doesn't try to force anything and cause any further damage or harm to your own body, right? So I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful that she talked to me and she, kind of walked me through it. So I did leave her office feeling comfortable. Just was like, okay, but I'm believing that all is well and all will continue to be well, right? And so, again, until next time, I hope that you have a great day until we meet again. And if you have any questions or thoughts or anything like that, please feel free. Of course, I always respond. And if not, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate you. Thank you.